Hi guys, my name is Michael Lee. I'm the head of engineering at Beachbody. A little bit about myself. I joined Beachbody about 8 months ago. I come from a web-enabled background from Yahoo, the Walt Disney Company, and a few other high web e-commerce websites. To join Beachbody as it's going through its digital transformation from an infomercial, direct media, marketing-based company to becoming more of a software-as-a-service, software-driving, technology-driven company to help grow the company and really take it to the next level. With that, you guys are here to hear about Beachbody and how we use AppDynamics and how it's solving some of our problems at Beachbody as we go through this digital transformation. With that, I just want to kick off with the agenda. No surprises here. I'm going to tell you a little about Beachbody, our concerns, our architecture, and how we used AppDynamics to help us out. With that, I just want to start with Beachbody. So Beachbody started in 1998. It didn't grow to become a $1.3 billion company overnight. It took quite a long time. I like to equate Beachbody as one of the most diversified living healthy companies in the world. And through the course of this presentation, you'll see why. It started off in 1998 as a direct-to-consumer space, what we call direct marketing. You guys have seen this before. If you guys have checked out your TV in your hotel room, you've seen an infomercial, you've seen a P90X video, you've seen a Beachbody program most likely. That's really where our claim to fame was in 1998. We introduced a program called TurboJam back then, which none of you guys have heard of, but it was actually very successful for Beachbody, and it really sparked the beginning of what would happen next. We then introduced something called network marketing, what you guys probably know as multi-level marketing in 2005 after several fits and starts. That's actually become an incredibly big pillar for us. What that allows people to do is be part of what we call a coach network. So people that are super invested in the Beachbody product lines, that want to become instructors, that want to sell our products, they can be a part of that, what we call a coach network. Last year, we introduced something called certification to really close the loop. So let's say that you bought a Beachbody program, you love the program so much, you decided to become a coach. As part of that coach, you decided that, hey, look, I want to get certified in more programs. So now you can get more programs certified, you can become trainers in those programs, and you can actually increase your value as part of your commission structure as part of the network. Lastly, what we also introduced earlier this year, was our digital strategy. We do believe that at some point, as part of this digital transformation, DVD market's going to die. The Midwest is really holding on to DVDs, but we do believe that DVD players will stop being sold at some point. And we need to get prepared for that streaming media concept. Streaming media offers a whole bunch of new value for us. Because when you purchase a DVD, I have no idea what DVD you watched. I have no idea where you stopped watching. I have no idea if it was even interesting to you. With digital streaming, there's a whole ton of what we call club experience that we can offer. Content that's customized to you, Q&A sessions with some of our celebrity trainers. And we can also determine where you got lost interest in our programs or where you actually got most excited about our programs. So the amount of data that we can accumulate from our on-demand strategy is very exciting. So our challenge, and you guys are starting to pick up on it, is to become a billion-dollar company, to start off as a startup in 1998, to grow into a billion-dollar company in 2015, leads to sprawl. We have lots of dead bodies. We've done a very good job of cleaning up our technical debt, but there's still technical debt and cruft all over Beachbody. The other part is our architecture doesn't necessarily reflect the latest and greatest thinking that we've all learned this week on microservices, container strategies, API-driven structure. Those are all things that we wanted to bring that I was actually tasked to bring to Beachbody. Lastly, when you grow this fast over a short period of time, you start accumulating a number of different solutions. So we are an e-commerce company. We actually have 7 shopping cart flows. We are a content company, so we actually have 4 CMSs at Beachbody. So you're getting kind of the understanding that we have a lot of repeat solutions at Beachbody. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I want to show you some of the concerns that we had in 1998 and to today. When we first started in 1998, it wasn't that complicated. You had a warehouse, you showed some infomercials, someone would pick up the phone, purchase our product, we had a warehouse, and we would ship it to you. Fairly simple concern. In 2000, we started introducing e-commerce, because obviously in 2000, if you didn't have an e-commerce site, you weren't going to be successful. We also started introducing things like community features because we wanted to create more involvement. In 2005, as I mentioned before, we started doing the network multi-level marketing at Beachbody. That went through several iterations. The first iteration was called My Beachbody. That was actually a proto-network. But in 2005, we started hitting it right with Team Beachbody. And that today is a fantastic product for us, or a fantastic network for us. We have over 400,000 active coaches that are participating in that network. We introduce a dozen new millionaires every single year. 90% of our network is women. Most of these folks are stay-at-home moms, folks that, single moms, that build businesses thanks to Beachbody. So it's a great success story for Beachbody. In 2010, that's when we really honed what we call our coach network, and we started building them a CRM. Because as these coaches started becoming more and more self-driven, became more of a self-driven, self-owned business, we wanted to give them the tools to support that. So we created a lead conversion system, a lead marketing system, gave them their own micro websites, gave them marketing assets, giving them access to training. In 2015, as I mentioned before, we introduced our digital strategy and our certification program. We also introduced our apparel program as well. Everyone's heard of P90X, not everyone's heard of Beachbody. We wanted to start creating that brand recognition for Beachbody, and that's something that we started in 2015. So you're going to hear a lot more about Beachbody going forward, and it won't just be, oh, you're the P90X company. Now, if this were the only concerns that I had to deal with when I joined Beachbody, I wouldn't need AppDynamics. Actually, we have a fairly good system in place. We actually have fairly good solutions in place. Wouldn't feel like we needed any of these concerns addressed via AppDynamics. But the challenge that was given to me was, we don't want to be a billion-dollar company. We want to be a $5 billion company. We want to be a $10 billion company. How do we do that? Well, for one thing, we need to make all these concerns more efficient. And secondly, there's a big push for us to go international. There's incredible opportunity for us to go international. So now imagine I have to take all of these concerns that I've described here and duplicate that in dozens of countries over the next 3 years. It's a challenge. Now you're starting to see where AppDynamics fits in this picture. So let's talk a little about how the architecture mirrors some of these concerns. As I mentioned, in the beginning, it was pretty simple. We used QuickBooks, basic accounting. Technology was all of 4 people. And we used 3 third-party integrations to handle our warehousing, our call centers, and our media buying systems. In fact, I think we used Microsoft Access to manage our assets. Growing pains. Concerns started to rise, and that's when we started looking at enterprise-level technologies. And one of the biggest partners that we looked at was Oracle. We are actually a very big Oracle shop today. And these third-party integrations became very big for us. Why? Because when it comes to multi-level marketing, when it comes to the reporting, when it comes to genealogy and commissions, these are all very important things for coaches. Beachbody just wasn't going to build that software. So we looked at companies to come help us do that. One example of that company is ByDesign. So ByDesign actually handles all of our reporting, all of our commission structures, all of our payments that we give out. And we started bringing in CMSs as well, so we brought in third-party solutions as well. At this point, we had Oracle bringing their enterprise service bus, and we had about 150 engineers in tech at this point. Today, we are incredibly dependent on our third parties. In fact, we can't run our business without them. We have over 300 plus resources in IT. We have a $100 million IT budget at this point. So you're getting to feel that our scale is starting to grow, and it's only going to get bigger over the course of time. By the way, I want to pause right now and say that if you guys see this live word cloud that's happening right now, if you get a chance, please text Beach to 22333 and let me know what new features you want most from AppDynamics, and honestly, what features that you think that Beachbody should be looking at carefully, more carefully than we are today. One reminder, this isn't moderated, so please no swear words. And the other thing is no sentences, because it'll break up your sentence. But we would love to know your feedback. I would love to know this feedback, because We've only been using AppDynamics for about 6 months at Beachbody, and I know that there's a lot more to AppDynamics than what we're using today. Okay, so if these were my only concerns that I had to deal with, an Oracle platform, bunch of third parties, 300 IT folks, $99 million budget, this would be okay. I wouldn't have a problem. The problem is this won't scale for international. That is the primary concern. This will not scale for us when it comes to PCI compliance, when it comes to security concerns, when it comes to SOX compliance. So we have a 3-year outlook that is heavily microservice dependent. And I want to caution everybody here, it's that we are not talking about microservice envy. We want to make sure that we have domain segmented microservices where it makes sense for Beachbody. We're not hypnotized by microservices, but we do admire what microservices have to offer in terms of its discreteness. We're going to be API-driven going forward. It's the only way we can work with our third-party vendors, and it's the only way we're going to be able to have our systems talk to one another. And then lastly, we're no longer focused on third-party vendors. What we're focusing on are partners. We want to make sure that we're partnering with our vendors in such a way that it helps us going forward. And that includes not only with the technology solutions, but our resources as well. So we're looking at a number of partner development centers, or what you guys may know as captive strategies, where we increase our engineering resources because they're so scarce in Los Angeles with development centers. And we have to be able to support those folks as well. I know it's a little small, but my point is, it's pretty complicated. Right, so now you guys start to understand what my problem is, or what Beachbody's problem is. We didn't really have a clear foundation. We had no anchoring. And lastly, we didn't have a DevOps culture. I think everyone in this room buys into the fact that without a full-stack engineering team, without discrete accountability, you're not going to be successful in this new high-velocity world, especially when it comes to web time. Quite frankly, we were obese. We had too many tools, platforms, and services. We had too many concerns: PCI compliance, SOX, security, international growth. And some of this is because when I joined, there was actually no head of engineering for the last 2 years. So a lot of the folks, and forgive me for saying this, they were kids in a candy store. So they bought whatever tools on the market. I'm not going to lie. We actually have New Relic, AppDynamics, and Oracle's application performance management solution. We have 7 different synthetic solutions. We have 4 CMS, as I mentioned before, 7 shopping cart flows. We have a lot. We were obese. Secondly, we were slow. Our MTTR was taking hours. When you're dealing with a $150,000 an hour e-commerce platform, that's not great. If your most popular website goes down, Shakeology.com, we lose $5,000 an hour. In fact, as a use case, 2 weeks ago, Shakeology went down for 2 hours. We lost money. We lost goodwill. Not to mention, the business keeps growing, and we just are not able to keep up. And lastly, and this is probably the hardest part for us, is we were just flat out weak. Our third parties were just owning us. We had a lot of the finger pointing. I don't know what data you're seeing. I don't see that data. A lot of blame storming. It's not us. It's you guys. Because of that, we were so focused on these third parties, we were starting to lose focus on our user, who at the end of the day are the most important thing for Beachbody. So you guys start to see what our problem is. We were overweight, we were slow, and we were weak. So Beachbody's mantra is decide, commit, succeed. So when I joined, with the support of the CXOs, the CEOs, the founders, and the investment necessary, we decided that we were going to do something better about this. We were going to lean down. We were going to become more efficient. We were going to get stronger. And lastly, we were going to get faster. If you guys don't recognize these programs, these are some really popular programs for Beachbody. So why did we choose AppDynamics? I'm not really going to go into this slide very much. You guys all chose AppDynamics for a reason. For me, the most important thing, and it differentiated this from the other competition out there, it's software as a service. I'm sorry, I take that back. It's software with service, not software as service, which was a very big difference for me. And I will just constantly harp on this, but the partnership with AppDynamics and their ability to be part of our governance plan, to really be part of giving us best practices for our DevOps culture transformation, I can't tell you how important that is. It's more important than the technology itself. We decided, we committed. That's Tony Horton, by the way. This is our first major celebrity trainer at Beachbody. He's still awesome for Beachbody, by the way. So the first phase is, how do we transform our culture at Beachbody? I believe that culture is values plus execution. You can have all the values you want, but if you're not executing, you're not going to be successful. And this is where AppDynamics really stepped in to help us out. The first part was training. We had to train all of our folks, and now we could have done that by ourselves, but we're not the experts in the product. AppDynamics contributed a number of resources. Derek Mitchell, are you out there? A bunch of different AppDynamics folks came in, led multiple sessions for us. They were incredibly powerful. They even built a whole bunch of dashboards for us that are still being used today. And they pointed out a bunch of problems in our network. It was incredibly valuable. The second part was just our governance plan. I can't tell you how important this is. The single biggest reason why I signed the AppDynamics deal on July 27th was they said that we're going to be with you every step of the way on the governance plan. We're going to help you make the DevOps culture shift at Beachbody, and AppDynamics was going to be with us on that one. And that, to me, said that is the difference maker between this and some other competitive products out there. I need to sign with AppDynamics. The third thing we did was we have a hack day that I introduced at Beachbody. And part of that hack day, one of the prizes was contributed and sponsored by AppDynamics. They actually gave an iPad for one of the best hack day ideas that supported a DevOps mentality. Very exciting. To keep the rhythm going, to keep the culture transformation going, we also had a fantastic DevOps contest where a bunch of people participated to create very cool dashboards. In fact, whoever won the contest, we actually gave them a free trip to a sponsored trip to AppSphere. So they're actually, the winner is actually sitting up in the front row here. And I'm actually going to show you his dashboard. And then lastly, because we wanted to make sure we had good tech karma and make sure that we were validating what we were doing, we took over the AppDynamics LA user group. AppDynamics was incredibly important for us because they had owned the user group, the meetup, but they willfully and happily handed it off to us. And with their full support, we had a fantastic meetup 2 months ago. It's actually led by John Hansen, this guy up front here. He's a Beachbody employee. And that program had over 50 people come in, and it was awesome validation of what we were doing. So what you're starting to see is this full circle. Training and validation, awesome. I can't emphasize enough how important this is. And I'll dig into this a little bit more later. So what are we monitoring today at Beachbody? We have a number of different language stacks. I mean, you guys understand now how complex Beachbody is with duplicative technologies, different languages, different technologies, from the latest and greatest to some really old technologies that are out there. Our databases, we are a big Oracle shop, but we also have a lot of open source at our company. So we've got the best and worst of both worlds. MySQL is part of a world, or as Oracle likes to call it, Oracle Lite. Sources, we have data centers. We're in the cloud. We have laptops under people's desks that act as lower environments for us. So we have complexity there. And scale. We grew from tens of boxes to thousands of boxes. And I want to pause right here and just emphasize again that without AppDynamics, we would not be where we are today in less than 2 quarters. We've rolled out 1,000 agents in a short period of time to have our entire end-to-end user experience monitored and managed. I can't tell you how important that is. Last part, we talked about decide. We talked about commitment. The last part is succeed. So what are some of the tactics that we put out there? So this is what our after photo looks like. It's some serious complexity. So the big focus for us was, let's lean out. We were overweight. We need to lean out. That first part I talked about, governance and a DevOps culture. What's that look like for us? So as part of my experience, I don't know if you guys ever worked with a firm called ThoughtWorks. They're a fantastic consulting firm. And what I learned from them was this idea of a tech radar. This tech radar has different circles that represent piloting technologies, maintaining technologies, adopting technologies, and most importantly, sunsetting technologies. So I worked with all of our engineering leaders at Beachbody, and we took all of our technology. We listed everything we had, and it came out to be like in the 1,000, like almost like 900 some different types of technologies we had. And we started carving those out and said, like, let's vote, let's decide, let's commit and make it happen. So you see this new tech radar we put into place where we consolidated. This was a lot more complicated when we first started. It's a lot more simpler now. And this is a great way that people can see things moving in and out. So we revisit this tech radar every 60 to 90 days and adjust it accordingly. And now I know it's really small, but I want it to blow up this side. Adopt. We chose AppDynamics as one of our primary services that we wanted to go with. We didn't add the competition. We said we're going to use AppDynamics. We're going to consolidate. It may not be the best solution. Heck, it might not even be the right solution, but it's the one we chose, and we decided to stick with it. Secondly, you heard me talk a little about that DevOps contest that we had. Here is a winning dashboard that won for us, and this is part of our certification group. And what's fantastic about this is it created this common language framework for our business stakeholders, our product team, and our engineers. Well, how was this demonstrated? We have business metrics. We have tech metrics. And we have product metrics. It's incredibly important. This is actually being used today, and it's one of our primary sources of data for all across. So we're all speaking the common language. You guys have heard of Pigeon English? This is our Pigeon English. Now, I don't want you guys to think that we're just focused on the engineering guys who we try to keep in the basement, right? We also took it to the next level. Our entire CXO staff, our founders, Carl, John, my boss, the CIO, all of our chief financial officer actually uses our executive dashboard. This executive dashboard measures for our founders the revenue that we're making in near real time, something that we can't do with any other product that we have today. I can't tell you how important this executive dashboard is. This didn't win the contest, but it is still being used actively. So we talked about leaning out. The next part is explosive speed. We needed to get faster. To do that, we wanted to leverage advanced AppDynamics technologies. AppDynamics isn't limited to the agents and the controllers and the dashboard. It's a lot more than that, as we're learning this week. The other part was we needed to enable our delivery teams. You guys know these as integrated product teams, crews, pods, whatever you want to call them. But essentially, these are discrete teams that are fully accountable for their product from development, QA, release, and operational maintenance. And we needed to make sure that our solutions empowered them and didn't take them away from what the focus needed to be, which was on the end user. So with that, I actually want to hand this off to CT Rudy, our Executive Engineering Director at Beachbody, to talk a little about the cool advanced features that we use at AppDynamics.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, CT.
All right. CT Rudy. I run the B2B products for Beachbody on the engineering side. And the interesting thing for us with AppDynamics was some of the stuff that you guys heard in the keynote yesterday that was emphasized around the end-to-end visibility it gives us. So without making code changes, because as Mike mentioned, we're an Oracle shop, and it's not always easy to get in and play with the guts of Oracle. And so we needed the level of visibility that was going to give us accountability all the way through the stack. So we can see from end users all the way down through multiple service calls and be able to actually see what's happening. And that's incredibly important. We have a NOC that is monitoring our systems that doesn't have all of the map in memory for how these pieces fit together. And this is their way to be able to go and actually see when something's slow, what's slow. And as Michael mentioned, we wanted to start using some of the advanced features. And one of the cool things that AppDynamics gives you is the ability to do automated remediation. And this is something that we've started rolling out. And so we have MySQL. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not always that happy. And so with Sad Dolphin plus AppDynamics, anybody know what we get? We get Flipper, the happy dolphin. And what does that really mean? So when AppD detects that MySQL is down, it has the ability to not just alert us, but it can go take action. So I don't know if any of you guys are using the scripted behaviors that it has, but we have it actually look at MySQL, see if it's down, take action, start it back up, and it notifies you. So you know that something happened, but you don't have to go take manual steps to fix it. And it's important to know that it happened, because if it's a recurring problem, you don't want this to be the silent cron job that just fixes the problem, makes it go away. You want to go get to the root cause. But you don't want to be waking up in the middle of the night to do that. So we have a little video here, and it actually shows the remediation in progress. So on the side with the terminal, we're checking to see if MySQL is running. We're actually going to shut down MySQL and verify that it's down. And so this is what we would do to simulate an outage. And it gives us a chance to actually show you some of the cool stuff that we've been doing. Now, the whole video is about 3 minutes, so we're not going to sit here awkwardly and watch it. But it does go through and show you that we get an alert, and we get an email from AppDynamics saying, hey, don't worry, we're on it. And as MySQL comes back up, it then recognizes MySQL came back up, notifies you that the incident is resolved. So one of the things that we were trying to do was reduce our mean time to resolution. And by not having to have people manually go take these steps and go figure out what's wrong, we start to reduce that mean time to resolution. Now, the cool thing about this is you also reduce some of the knowledge gaps. I mean, it's a very common practice to build run books to hand off to your operations groups, but then they have to go find those, and they have to go do those steps. What if you just started building that in to actually be able to make the run book something that, instead of being on a wiki page or in a Google Doc, was something that was active knowledge as opposed to passive knowledge. And so that's what we're trying to do here. Now, the whole idea is with DevOps and AppDynamics, you get a better night's sleep, because this graph isn't something that I could memorize and keep in my head easily. It's not something that if you're up at 2 a.m. trying to figure out what's broken and who's at fault, that you would be able to call up on the fly and be bright and perky and awake. It also means that when we get escalations, we escalate to the right group. You don't have to get 35 people on the call to try and do all the right blame storming to figure out whose fault it is. You can easily see when something is broken and who it belongs to. Oops, sorry, wrong slide. So the next piece that we're starting to use is the war room. And I don't know if you want to talk about the war room a bit.
Absolutely. So this is actually one of my favorite features of AppDynamics' product line. So we're heavily dependent on third parties and consultants. Triaging when we have incidents, it's a ton of money every hour. And I think nothing is more deadly when you have an incident than the bridge. And what I mean by that is, what's your bridge look like during an incident? Do you get some of this? Someone's joined the call. What's been done? Who's on the bridge? Another person joins the call. Who's on the bridge? What's been done? You're getting the point. These are seconds, minutes that are lost every time you have to say, so-and-so is on the bridge, this is what's been done. Wow, that's pretty painful, guys. And then you can only imagine when your boss joins the call, and then he's going to ask, and he's going to derail the entire bridge, and now you're talking about hours of outage. Anyway, we'll not talk about that one. We'll cut that from the video when we edit it. I can't tell you how much I love the virtual war room feature in AppDynamics. When they showed this to me, more than the APM stuff, I just love this thing. Why? Because now, if I join a call, I don't have to ask what's been done. I have a list of things that have been done. I have an operational run book that the folks, Tier 1 support has already run through, and I don't have to ask if firewall ports were verified, if the Oracle port is open. I don't have to ask if the F5 rules are broken. I don't have to ask these kind of questions. I don't have to ask if we have maximum number of TCP connections. I don't have to ask how MySQL is doing. I don't have to ask about live lock deadlocks. Boom, checklist. I can ask these questions. Now I can start figuring out what the actual incident is. And then this is also my favorite part, is I can actually see what logs are actually pertinent. Who doesn't love the, I don't see what you're seeing. What are you seeing? My logs don't show that. What logs are you showing? It's awesome when we're all working from a common log so we can all see the same things that everyone else is seeing. And then lastly, I love this feature, is the timestamping features in AppDynamics War Room, where I can put comments in when we see a spike. I can say why we saw that spike. I can say what we did to bring down the connections. It's a great way to create history in the War Room. I just love this feature, guys. The other two features that I really love, and I'm going to bring CT back up. It's to talk about end user monitoring and synthetics. And that really is ultimately the hardest part for us in terms of what we're trying to do at Beachbody. The leading out, we got that. The getting faster, we're getting better at that. But managing my third parties, holding them accountable, oh my gosh, that's brutal. And if it wasn't for AppDynamics and some of the features that they have that are offering as part of the unified monitoring solution, we're not going to be able to get there. With that, I want to hand this back to CT to talk a little about strength training and packing the muscle.
All right, so you guys heard about end-user monitoring and the end-to-end visibility it gives us. And for us, we actually, as we wanted to trim down the number of tools we had, wanted to start eliminating some of our synthetics partners. So I don't know if you guys have this problem, but there's Gomez, there's Keynote, there's Pingdom, there's a whole bunch of flavors of what you could be using to monitor your products. But none of those necessarily reflect what is happening for your end user. You want to know what the end user is doing. And I want to be able to see that not in Google Analytics or not in Omniture. I want to be able to go see that alongside my other metrics. I want to be able to understand how that end user performance is driven by what's going on the servers, individual microservices as that starts to proliferate. And so we took end user monitoring, we used the automated baselines, and started building health rules to allow us to alert with one standard deviation away from those baselines, so that then you're getting a real visibility of what's going on with your users. You're able to react and respond like you would with synthetics, but it's more representative. So why use synthetics? I mean, I know that AppDynamics announced synthetics yesterday. We've actually, John Hansen's been working very closely with the synthetics team. And so to me, I think that we've seen a lot of really good progress. And so the good is we can see it alongside our existing metrics. We can use it to complement end user monitoring on newer sites, because the end user monitoring piece is really only viable and interesting if you're getting enough traffic. So if you introduce a new site, it's very unlikely that you're going to have enough traffic to allow for the auto baselining to not be a bunch of false positives. So then that means we can start using their script-based testing for Selenium, and using their automatic retest, we're then able to start removing some of those false positives. So if you compare them head to head, they each have strengths and weaknesses, and they're complementary. So test locations, I think if you're looking at how end user monitoring wins in that one, it's everywhere your users are. With your synthetics, you end up having to choose specific locations, which isn't always representative. Test timing, it's near real time, and it's based on actual users for end user monitoring, whereas synthetics, you schedule tests. Now, the place where I love seeing the complementary behavior is that on our third-party sites, we can't go put end user monitoring there. And so for us, because we do have a bunch of third-party dependencies, it's incredibly important to be able to use synthetics to show us, as we're seeing user behavior and transitions across sites, to understand if our third parties are maintaining their SLAs and good behavior. And it also helps as we roll out new sites to make sure that they're up and working while we wait for that traffic to pick up so that we can start using the end user monitoring. Now, end user monitoring in general helps prevent false positives. But the AppDynamics synthetics, one of the things that it impresses me is the retestability, so that it helps weed out even synthetic false positives. So holding our third parties accountable, huge win for synthetics. Now, I'm going to hand it back to Michael to talk about the wrap-up.
Yeah. So thanks for bearing with me, guys. I want to bring this all back. So let's go back to what our problem was. We were overweight, we were obese, we had too many tools, platforms, and services in place. We were slow. $150,000 an hour, mean time to respond or repair was hours, not minutes. And our third-party integrations were killing us. After 2 quarters, our solution that's in place, awesome. We leaned out. We added a governance and data ops culture, DevOps culture. We maximized our investment with AppDynamics in a short period of time. I can't tell you, again, You need AppDynamics with you to help you do this, because otherwise it'll take you far longer than 2 quarters to be able to maximize your investment. Explosive speed. We launched a new product yesterday. It's called the Master's Hammer and Chisel. In fact, you'll have an opportunity to win one in the next couple minutes. You guys will actually, nobody has a copy of this, by the way, so you guys will actually have first dibs. The product launch was so big, our sites crumbled, and I thought we could handle the scale. Now, I'm not going to tell you that AppDynamics saved the day, warned us this was going to happen, put the automated runbooks in place, and brought the site back up. We were down. We were down on a most important product launch for us at the Christmas season. What AppDynamics did do was it gave us the alerts. It gave us the tooling to be able to try to bring the site back, bring our reserved servers, our other servers, back into rotation as quickly as possible so we could take the additional connections and the additional load on our site. AppDynamics helped us on that. Where I see AppDynamics going next, we will never see this problem again. Sites will never go back down again, because we believe that once our sites hit too much traffic, AppDynamics will automatically reroute and give us the capacity that we need to be able to be successful. So I'm really excited about that. Strength training. We now have the ability to measure, monitor, and test and manage our third parties. We no longer have this blame storming. We have the data that can back up whose fault, whose problem. We don't want to talk about fault. We want to talk about how to fix it, how we can fix it as fast as possible. Very exciting. I have to do a Beachbody pitch here before we end. Shakeology, it's our ultimate meal replacement. Love it. But I also want to make sure I make a shout out for AppDynamics. Here are all the things that we've talked about today. If you guys get one thing out of me today, it's governance and culture. Extremely important to make anything successful, more than technology. You have to have great dashboards with great unified common language. Can't speak enough for the automated remediation and automatic app mapping. I'm not going to lie, it's not easy to put into place. When you're moving at the speed of business like Beachbody is, no one wants to take the time to do this. But I will tell you that you do this, the 10x benefits that you'll see going down the line will make the ROI very valuable. Virtual War Room, I love this thing for incident communications. Absolutely fantastic. We no longer have the what's been done. We no longer lose time there. End user monitoring and synthetics. Verdict is still a little bit out, but I do believe that this is going to be an extremely important product for us going down the line, and this is a core part of why we chose AppDynamics going forward, because we do believe in the unified monitoring vision that Jody was talking about yesterday. Questions? So, in a little bit of a different twist on the whole Q&A, I wanted to ask you guys some questions, and you have a chance to get a program if you answer the question. So, don't all jump on stage at once. But first question, how many AppD features are you using? Hey.
Sorry. Database monitoring and our .NET agents.
.NET agents and database monitoring. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
You want a program? Thank you. Woo! So I'm curious. We're monitoring. We have got about 1,000 agents deployed. I'm curious as to what's the number of systems that your guys are monitoring today? Back there. I'm sorry? 2,500 enterprise-wide. Wow. Actually, I want to talk to you to see how I can get there too. Awesome. So we've had some experience. We've had a contest on what works in our dashboards. I'd love to know, what have you found works in your dashboards? What gets your stakeholders engaged in your AppD dashboards?
We found that with some of our portal users, the most highly used application pieces, so applications that are called more often so they can track which work actually is important to them, has helped them out a lot. And it's got them really engaged from the dev team to really start digging into the program.
Has that led to any velocity increases? Has that led to less arguments, less debates?
Sometimes more arguments, more interest in the tool has exposed some things that's a little bit painful for them, but it put them along.
Awesome. Good stuff. That's actually very aspirational for me because that's something that we want to be able to do at Beachbody as well, especially as we get faster. Next question. How are you using APM or DevOps to support a major business goal that your group has to deliver either this year or next year?
So we have an application called Twitter Circle, which is to help people stop quitting smoking.
Oh, cool.
Social mobile app that allows you to have people support you. And we're applying AppDynamics there to support it so that we can monitor it end to end and make sure that it's not available. And we're POCing the analytics to make sure that we can actually correlate it to business.
That's amazing. Is there an app?
What?
Is there an app?
Yeah, it's Twitter Circle. Yeah, if you do go on the App Store, it's Twitter Circle.
Okay. Is there an Android app too? Because I'm an Android guy. Sweet. Excellent. You're actually the first person to get one of the Master's Hammer and Chisel. Nobody else has that program, so you're very, very lucky. So I have to say that's pretty cool. I haven't even seen the video, so that's very cool. All right. So my last question is, what is your favorite AppD feature, and do tell me why. Please.
The one thing they do really well is the transaction snapshots. And I know it's the basic stuff, but when we evaluated AppDynamics and we compared them against the competitors, they get the right level of doing the transaction snapshots. We looked at Riverbed, who does everything. We looked at Relic at the time, who did hardly any. They get the level right. But when we have problems and the app team comes to me saying, hey, what's the issue? You pop open that transaction snapshot and you're down to the line of code that's having the problem. And it has made the resolution on many problems go from hours of scratching your head going, where's the problem, to there it is. That is your SQL call is the problem. That's what we need to address. And we're down to minutes of resolution.
That's awesome.
So,
Great, 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 great. So I've got one last program, Master's Hammer and Chisel. Very cool, by the way, guys. I want to open up the floor, answer any questions that you may have. And I've got my NOC manager here with us, John Hansen. Got the director of engineering here as well. So ask your hardest question, and I'll make them answer it.
So have you guys worked with the REST APIs? I talked to you a little bit in the last session, but have you guys worked pretty extensive with the REST APIs? And as far as, because when you're talking the DevOps story, you need to be able to plug in with some of your own tools. And what's your experience with that?
I have a comment, but I'll let this guy talk, because he can speak far more intelligently.
So we haven't actually done anything with the REST API. It's been mostly configuration and agent rollout so far. And I think the only integrations we've done that I know of where we're using the APIs were with XMatters.
Yeah, we have used it for
Yeah. Oh, and ServiceNow? Okay, I was wrong.
So for the pieces that you're using, you're running the majority of it just from the dashboard?
Right.
Okay.
What did he say about the ServiceNow and XMatters? Oh,
Do you want to speak into my lapel?
yeah. Use my speaking voice. Yeah, utilizing the API for XMatters for notifications and then also for time for service desk, which is ServiceNow. So how do you tie that? How do you tie that back to the API there somewhere? Yeah, and before we had done it as sort of a roundabout method. We had gone into ServiceNow. ServiceNow then generated the call with an XMatters. Right. But we did the right way. So AppDynamics generates XMatters. That's awesome. Yep. So I was wondering how we could use the virtual war room with XMatters to integrate together. Yeah, it turns out that it's a happy marriage, and I think that's one of the reasons why you see XMatters here as one of the booths and stuff. Are you using XMatters on-prem or the cloud? No, we're using cloud. We're using those. Yeah. Anything that we've got that's coming in, we've got new that we're trying to use as a hosted platform simply because, as Mike said, we're making a push to international and doing those and having to concern ourselves whether that data center had that on it. So we want to stop trying to ask those questions and just say it's a service, it's available, it's widely available, it's highly available, and let's utilize the service.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question. Please. Right. So Oracle Enterprise. So the question is, do we use Oracle Enterprise Manager as one of the largest implementations of Oracle in arguably the Southwest, West Coast, United States? Do we use Oracle's own APM solution, Application Performance Management solution? The answer is yes. But we are pushing hard. As I mentioned before, we want to be able to consolidate our tools. There are some features that we like in the Oracle Enterprise Manager that our Oracle engineers like. But those features are also coming available very quickly with APM through AppDynamics. What I like about AppDynamics versus the Oracle Enterprise, sorry, not versus, and the Oracle Enterprise Manager, it's the fact that I can see end-to-end, because we have a whole bunch of disparate Oracle products implemented. We have OHS implement, Oracle's version of Apache. We have Oracle's e-commerce solution called ATG in place. We have Oracle's content management system in place called WCS. I can see that end-to-end transaction through AppDynamics. I can't do that easily through Oracle Enterprise Manager. So being able to connect all those different pieces. Oh, I forgot one other product we use, the Oracle API Gateway. So I can actually correlate that entire traffic end-to-end with AppDynamics that I can't do easily with the Enterprise Manager.
The other thing we're seeing is our Oracle management team was a bit reluctant to give everyone access to OEM. And so the difference is with AppD, everyone has access to that in our organization. So there's no limit to the visibility you can get based off of a particular group having access to a tool that no one else does.
You guys might want to speak to the support too that AppD provided, talking about a true partnership.
Yeah, so we, for better or for worse, bought the whole Oracle suite. So whatever new yacht Larry has is on us. But some of the custom tooling around OHS and OAM, AppD has actually jumped in and helped write specific plugins so that we can see with a much greater level of visibility some of those transactions that previously would have been just totally opaque to us. So having them jump in to help do that has been incredibly helpful.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. I was told to wrap up, so really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much.